Here's a replay I've had in the chamber for quite some time. Decided to pull the trigger on it today because, yeah, we've got Vampire Coast versus High Elves, and it's definitely an interesting matchup. We're in for quite the shootout, given both players have gone quite ranged heavy, which is a way this matchup can sometimes go. It's one of the few matchups, I think, where Alith and Anar, generally considered to be one of the worst lords in the game, and also definitely one of the worst High Elf lords, is actually viable. He's tough to snipe-ish in this matchup, and he can also use his bow to a pretty good effect at long distance. He does have 300 range, basically acting like a single entity bolt thrower, and can use that to good effect against the vampire counts. Let's take a look at the rest of the builds, though. He's already got some Lothern Sea Guard getting shelled, and it looks like, yeah, lots of Lothern Sea Guard here, mixed in with some archers with light armor. We do have a couple of Eagle Claw bolt throwers and some White Lions of Trace, Anar, and a Metal Mage. And I believe, is that maybe another caster mixed in there somewhere? Anyway, yeah, already we see the Scurvy Dogs, Fellbats swooping in, managed to get a good jump on those bolt throwers and shut them down momentarily. Then for the rest of the coast build here, we've got some pirate mob pistols and handguns and shotguns and the bombers even. Yep, couple of bombers. So nice mix of all the different gunnery mobs, and we've got some deckhand pole arms as well for line infantry. Black Spot over on the far side, the 3 mortars, and the regiment renowned Shadewraith Gunners definitely going to be making their presence felt here. Noctilus leading the way. Let's watch as these Shadewraith Gunners didn't always have the best missile penetration, but these days definitely can get through it. You can see them putting some serious work in on these Lothern Sea Guard. The mortars also dropping some shots on the High Elves lines. Getting some decent connections so far. Mortar's definitely going to be a great answer to High Elves' densely packed infantry, especially when they have a big spread of infantry like this. Mortars can definitely get some really nice work done. See already the Shadewraiths cutting down one Lothern Sea Guard as they approach, but likewise, Anar taking some pot shots here. Is his bow actually magical? It is not, though he does have high enough missile strength to be able to just overcome. You can see he's taking some pot shots at Noctilus, getting his AP kind of picked there. Noctilus, being a foot character, actually does take some miscast damage as he overcasts a Pit of Shades right into the advancing Elves. Multiple units going to get caught up in it. Shadewraith Gunners also firing right into that sector to try and get some leadership damage, and they do manage to rout away some of the High Elf archers, but very quickly the Shadewraith Gunners are going to start to get cut down once the archers can counterfire them. They do have very little HP. So you see already Invocation to Heck there. Searing Doom forces them to move, and the High Elves have their advance underway. Even though they've taken a pretty substantial amount of damage already, they are still quite dangerous. You can see Noctilus just continuing to lose HP. Anar moving forward, not necessarily directly targeting him right now, but certainly could. Likewise, this Metal Mage might be lining up for a big Final Transmutation. It looks like no Plague of Rust here, just pure damage, Searing Doom, and Final Transmutation. Could potentially come in here, get the Shadewraiths and these mortars, like a whole bunch of units at the same time. But Elves' leadership definitely allows them to keep advancing under heavy fire like this. One Lothern Sea Guard, though, going on a goose chase against those regrouping Scurvy Dogs is definitely pretty painful. There's the Final Transmutation, and yeah, you can see pretty much going to spell doom for the Shadewraith Gunners. Also going to do enough damage to probably just blow up these mortars models. Yeah, you can see them starting to detonate there. So some really nice value damage, helping kind of stabilize the High Elves' advance here, deal with some of their tools. White Lions getting in mostly undamaged, able to start cutting through some of those zombies and whatnot. With Anar also continuing to shoot his bow, rather. Picking away at Noctilus, getting some really good damage and keeping the balance of power nice and close. More Searing Doom's damage as well. And yeah, I mean, obviously the High Elves' infantry quality is going to be much higher than that of the Vampire Coast. And even the slow spearmen are fast enough to catch the zombie pirate deckhands. See the handguns getting pressured there. Sea Guard, though, a little bit stacked up once again. This is going to provide great fodder for the mortars to fire in and continue just feasting on value. Noctilus also, if he dares to get close enough, could drop another hot Pit of Shades, but right now he is definitely on a bit of a timer as Lithnar continues to keep up the pressure. Certainly getting bogged down by zombies, but you can see he's got that shoot order on Noctilus, continuing to, yeah, take those big hits from Lithnar's bow. Was Lithnar always armor piercing? Did he get a missile damage buff at some point? I feel like he didn't maybe always do this much missile damage, but he's definitely showing his value here so far and keeping Noctilus from really being able to contribute very meaningfully. He's also got almost 2,000 damage value by himself, so definitely carrying the High Elves to a degree here. But the High Elves also getting carried right off the battlefield by these deckhands as they chase a big routing group of archers. Lothern Seaguard able to kind of stabilize and actually probably going to win. Ooh, but the mortars continuing to land there some damage as well. Handguns shooting into the back of the pursuing spearmen, trying to bail out their other handgun buddies. It's definitely going to be anyone's game at this point, but we've got Lithnar here with his decoy active. That is going to continue tying down some of these missile units. So yeah, despite the initial successes for the Vampire Coast, and they're keeping some units routing here with the mortars and the dogs, it's definitely dangerous. We've still got this full health Lothern Seaguard pulling up on the side here, shooting in arrows enough to make the various units start crumbling. More Searing Doom on these units as well here in the center. Getting some nice damage on the deckhands. But yeah, zombie leadership definitely having a pretty tough time as Noctilus just kind of had to run into the corner to hide from Lithnar's snipes long-range bow. But yeah, the one Lothern Seaguard tried to do as much as they can, but they are faced off with a lot of powder in response between the guns and the mortars. It's pretty much all focused on them at this point, so despite their they don't even have shields. Yeah, that's a big problem for them for sure, as they get peppered by bullets. And even though the zombies' leadership's not doing great, it does stabilize somewhat here. But the two White Lions still continuing to try and cut through the lines here, as is Lithnar and the Mage. A lot of these vampire units just barely holding on in their leadership. White Lions missile resistance obviously coming into play in a huge way here, but will it be enough against this sheer volume of fire between the handguns and shotguns? There's a lot of damage coming in. The yeah, White Lions just trying to stay engaged with whatever units they can to try and interrupt line of sight as much as they can, but the way that engagement played it out, looks like they'll have a clear flank turned to those guns and probably going to get taken out as a result. But for the rest, yeah, zombies, black spot here are almost crumbled out. Deckhand shotguns are almost crumbled out. The speed of the crumbling, though, is slow enough that it's really hurting the High Elves right now. The fact that all these crumbling units are able to keep shooting and keep damaging the White Lions. Very critical component of Undead, obviously, and one thing that I've railed against much over the years. That dang crumbling means units, like I said, keep fighting when they're technically routed, and that generates a huge amount of value in a late game situation like this. But Lithnar, just the hero of the High Elves at this point, is going to have to pretty much bring it home himself with the one remaining White Lion cutting down this last deckhand. He gets his yeah, his little decoy up as well. More Searing Doom from the Mage. Her leadership's not doing great. She has gotten quite a bit of damage, though, between the various spells and whatnot. Over 200 kills, 1,600 damage value. Just absolutely great value, to be honest. But it may come down to Lithnar trying to fight all this stuff in melee, which in that case, even tired as he is, exhaustion's got him down to 39 speed. But still, it's 39 speed, only 30 armor, 51 melee defense, also pretty good, 47 attack. So yeah, Lithnar could be tough for the vampire counts to actually kill in the late game, but Noctilus still here, throws a little bombardment there. It's not enough to rout the Metal Mage. Although his, yeah, the decoy, Lithnar's decoy, actually forcing a couple units into crumbling as Lithnar himself comes through to destroy the mortars. Takes out one mortar just outright, and then starts cutting his way through the crew. Well, let's fast forward a little bit through this late game as Lithnar makes his final stand. Actually gonna leave the mortar crew to their fate, but unfortunately gets army lost. And it is unfortunate for the High Elves. I actually think there's a chance they win that, even with the army situation being what it is. There's certainly no guarantee that Noctilus will win that melee fight, although he does have, for the most part, better stats. Especially with the exhaustion factored in. I don't know. I don't think Noctilus was really tired at all there, considering he just been kind of hiding the whole match. But yeah, it's interesting. Ultimately, the mortars are really what puts in the best value and kind of carries the Vampire Coast to a fair degree. Great job by Elios here, the submitter of this replay as well, using those hounds and bats initially to get that disruption, and then especially using this hound here to chase routing units throughout the course of the game. Ended up proving very successful. Zombie handguns are pretty cheap, honestly, considering how cheap they are. They're probably the most consistently effective handgun unit in the game, because you really don't pay very much for them, so it doesn't take a lot for them to pay for themselves. But yeah, man, really just the mortars, to be honest, that are kind of overperforming on value. Everything else is pretty much where you would want it to be. On the high elf side, yeah, these two heroes get quite a bit of value. The lions, one of them 300 kills and 22,000 damage dealt, 1,200 gold value. Kind of crazy just for a regular infantry unit, but yeah, the Lothern Sea Guard, unfortunately, despite having a lot of their number on the field, we're not able to overcome. And yeah, losing out to bolt throwers also is pretty painful. But Alith and Anar, honestly, maybe deserves another look. Like I said, this is a matchup where he can do well. Skaven is maybe a little bit riskier because there are certain Skaven characters like Snitch, for example, that can come snipe Alith and Anar in melee. But generally, he's relatively safe from that in that matchup, and definitely can use his long-range bow to good effect. Try and pick at Skaven from range. Those are really the two matchups I would probably say he's consistently viable in. The rest, maybe like Grand Cathay, you could get away with using him as well. I don't know really what like particular use case he would fulfill there. Maybe sniping out some high value like drum or something, you know, support pieces. But yeah, basically against the less mobile factions and those that don't have really scary single entity characters, which rules out a lot of things. Maybe Wood Elves is one as well, where you could potentially try and make him work. But again, we do have some characters like Dryka or others that could run him down and make him have a bad time. So yeah, he's definitely a lord that exists in the game. But yeah, this is definitely the number one matchup for him, I would say, is Vampire Coast. Has been historically. It's not like he's insanely expensive. He is actually relatively cheap for what you do get out of him. 1,000 points base cost is really not too bad. And of course, you can take the copy ability there for 1150. The rest of this stuff here, some of it's nice. Most of it I would probably just leave at home, but yeah, 1150 for this is actually not terrible. So maybe Alith and Anar deserves a little bit more love from me and another look from you all if you are playing High Elves. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.